Hello everyone, how are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We also assist companies not just in consultation, but also in ISO certification, other quality issues such as GMP implementation, and of course, NADCAP assistance, all the rest of that for special processes. Today, this video is about Daryl Guberman, QA expert, deciphers the term escape used by aerospace companies like Boeing, LOCKHEED, etc., especially Boeing. I had a couple of emails when I did the item about David Calhoun, the CEO of Boeing, who when asked from CNBC about escapes, what are they, and he basically went off on a tangent in the sense that he didn't know what an escape was. An escape is another term, ladies and gentlemen, business owners, my fellow citizens. An escape is a rejection, but they try to soften the blow out to the public. Escape, escape. So today, this video is going to be about escapes. I'm going to read about it. I'm going to let you know how it goes. An escape is any sort of issue against the blueprint. Many times you have a blueprint issue, whether it's a short part, a wrong cut, misdrilled hole, etc. And if it gets out into the, out into the stream, it gets put on a plane or it's being used, it's called an escape outside the factory. Catch them before they escape, so to speak. This is what the word escape is. After I get done, I'm going to leave it here. The rest of the data will be down below this video. I'm sure, I think I do have in one of the articles down below about escapes and David Calhoun, you will find him, you'll hear his actual interview, how he hesitated when he was asking, when they were asking him, CNBC was asking him about escape. So here it is. The word escape has been selected by the American National Standards Institute, the American National Crediting Board, Boeing, LOCKHEED, etc. crowd, to describe their defined so-called deficiencies. They have selected well because the word escapes reflects their mentality and exposes their dirty methods and purposes. Who escapes? People who are fugitives from justice. A people generally fleeing from lawful or true or valid authority. The fact is that ANSI-ANAB, Boeing, LOCKHEED crowd truly think of themselves as escapees because they duck and hide from the light of truth in their boast of accreditation as a deceitful sham. Thus, like cockroaches under the beam of flashlight in a darkened room, they run trying to escape from the responsibility for the lies they tell and the fees they charge for a worthless paper and phony audits. Yes, their use of escape is as criminal slang for what they do. If one listens to them long enough, it becomes evident that their language reflects their greedy, worthless behavior. Escapes. And I will just give you a brief overview. You have Jim Tassett here smiling. On their 801st F-35, they still have rejections. You would think that they'd clean it up. I know it's a complex aircraft, but you would think they would clean up the mess that would not cause loss of aircraft or loss of pilot. And I know what you're saying, Daryl, we don't really hear that many F-35s go down, but that's because they can't take off. Isn't that a 10? If it doesn't take off, then you never hear about it. And then you have Boeing. By the way, LOCKHEED sits on ANSI's board right over by the FAA, just like Boeing does. Boeing has a couple. They have a triple rounder going against the Sherman-Clayton Act, and so do they. So does Jim Tassett over there. They all go against the Sherman-Clayton Act about anti-competitive, antitrust, monopolization. That's exactly what those companies are. Let me tell you a little bit about Boeing. Boeing sent out a supplier portal, a supplier bulletin in 2002 that requires a organization to be AS9100, only accredited by ANSI-ANAB. It states it on this, on this bulletin. Send in the certificate. Boeing's purchasing or quality checks it off, and then they say send in the parts, and Boeing doesn't have to send source inspectors to go take a look, and that's been going on for 22 years. And the news media they don't even know about this procedure or this bulletin. I've been telling time and time again. We've contacted many of them, and it's like, Haven't gotten back. Eventually, when one of the planes go down, they will finally get their shit together and contact me. That's number one, the bulletin. Number two is on their supplier portal, Boeing. It calls out ANSI-ANAB or international equivalent. That equivalent could be when they were still on the IAF. Because of lack of payment, Iran was taken off because I'm sure they have oil money. I don't know how much the IAF is charging, but they fell again. This is the second time that I know of that they got kicked off for lack of payment. You also have Pakistan, who did not, they're fully vested, and they could go into Boeing and do it because both Iran and Pakistan and those that sit on the IF, International Accreditation Forum, which is a repository for our national and international accreditation bodies, are equivalent in accreditation to ANAB. And ANAB, ANSI-ANAB, are underwriters for the IAF, incorporated in Delaware, and also for the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation. For anybody who wants to know about the definition, this is a definition of an underwriter. So now I go through the supplier bulletin, I go through the supplier portal, and and one of the things that I want to show you, I want to take this out, and I want to definitely show this to you because I find this absolutely fascinating, that Boeing sat on the board of ANSI-ANAB, Management Systems Accreditation Council, that grants, suspends, and withdraw accreditation of certification bodies. And if I remember correctly, 1711 for registration certification bodies. They talk about 4.4, I think it is, 4.0 for impartiality. There is no such thing when it comes to ANSI-ANAB, Boeing. There's no impartiality there. So there they are. They're sitting on the board of ANSI-ANAB. So you got the triple header there. They constrain the trade, they anti-competitive activities, and also Lockheed Martin as well. And this is why quality is in the trash. In 2013, we got approved, we didn't need it, by Mr. Dave Levy, a Region 3 director who came and watched and we have it all on video, we have, and also audio. He said, Mr. Guberman, we have no problem with what you're doing. In fact, we support you. So ANAB supports you. So at that time, the American Society for Quality owned ANAB 50%, and ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, owned ANAB 50%. In 2016, Mr. Randy Doherty, who was formerly the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the International Accreditation Forum, and also the principal on the IF tax report. At the time, he wrote us and invited us to either join ANAB or IAF, and I said it was all voluntary. In 2015, he had handed over leadership to a communist Chinese national, Zhao Zhenwu, who was also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services out of Beijing, and ANSI and ANAB. Their equivalent, CNAS, China's National Accreditation Services, is equivalent to ANAB. So they are legally responsible because he certified the laboratory, which should not have been, because they didn't have enough trained technicians, as a document stated about 2018 when some American specialists went over, their technicians, and the scientists over there were begging for some more trained technicians, and it didn't work. They said, kept on going, especially with bio-level 4 viruses out there. The biggest thing is in 2019, the CDC, who also sits on ANSI's board, came out with a training document for virology labs in China. And the only virology lab in that entire book is Wuhan, China. To make matters worse, on page 3, it states, the first containment level, the most important part about any laboratory, bio-level 4 lab or any lab, is 12 trained technicians, that they are the first line of defense to stop things from escaping. So now you know that that's what happened. And to make matters, the final worst one is you have Pamela Sale, who was the vice president of accreditation for laboratory right around 2018, give a deposition, 17 or 18, give a deposition in Texas because they had a laboratory issue going on. They wanted to know about what's going on. And she says, well, from one laboratory to another, there are variances and they lack protocols, which means they're giving out certificates for laboratory accreditation that should not be given out. And it is absolutely horrendous what's going on. And much of this is based on an old saying that many people, I've been doing this business now for 13 years. I've been involved with quality for 40 plus years. And it's pay to play. That's what they say. I don't care about the certificate. They're a big deal. Just send it to Boeing and we send in the parts. No problem. That is a problem. That is why we have things called accumulating tolerances. And mark my word, more than likely than not, before 2024 is over, we are going to have a major crash. 203-556-1493 or Daryl, Daryl, TQRS at yahoo.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Again, this is Daryl Guberman, and thank you.